Look between the thoughts rather than at the thoughts. You are back in India. Where have you been? What have you seen? I have come from Switzerland. I stayed there with a remarkable man who claims to have realized. He has done many yogas in his past and had many experiences that passed away. Now he claims no special abilities nor knowledge. The only unusual thing about him is connected with sensations. He is unable to separate the seer from the seen. For instance, when he sees a car rushing at him, he does not know whether the car is rushing at him or he at the car. He seems to be both at the same time, the seer and the seen. They become one. Whatever he sees himself. When I asked him some Vedantic questions, he said, I really cannot answer. I do not know. All I know is this strange identity with whatever I perceive. You know, I expected anything but this. He is on the whole a humble man. He makes no disciples and in no way puts himself on a pedestal. He is willing to talk about his strange condition, but that is all. Now that he knows what he knows, all else is over. At least he still talks. Soon he may cease talking. What will he do then? Immobility and silence are not inactive. The flower fills the space with perfume, the candle with light. They do nothing, yet they change everything by their mere presence. You can photograph the candle, but not its light. You can know the man, his name and appearance, but not his influence. His very presence is action. Is it not natural to be active? Everybody wants to be active, but where do his actions originate? There is no central point. Each action begets another, meaninglessly and painfully, in endless succession. The alternation of work and pause is not there. First, find the immutable center where all movement takes birth. Just like a wheel turns round an axle, so must you be always at the axle in the center and not whirling at the periphery. How do I go about it in practice? Whenever a thought or emotion of desire or fear comes to your mind, just turn away from it. By suppressing my thoughts and feelings, I shall provoke a reaction. I am not talking of suppression. Just refuse attention. Must I not use force to arrest the movements of the mind? It has nothing to do with effort. Just turn away. Look between the thoughts rather than at the thoughts. When you happen to walk in a crowd, you do not fight every man you meet. You just find your way between. If I use my will to control the mind, it only strengthens the ego. Of course, when you fight, you invite a fight, but when you do not resist, you meet with no resistance. When you refuse to play the game, you are out of it. How long will it take me to get free of my mind? It may take 1,000 years, but really no time is required. All you need is to be in dead earnest. Here the will is the deed. If you are sincere, you have it. After all, it is a matter of attitude. Nothing stops you from being a jnani here and now except fear. You are afraid of being impersonal, of impersonal being. It is all quite simple. Turn away from your desires and fears from the thoughts they create, and you are at once in your natural state. No question of reconditioning, changing, or eliminating the mind? Absolutely none. Leave your mind alone. That is all. Don't go along with it. After all, there is no such thing as mind apart from thoughts which come and go, obeying their own laws, not yours. They dominate you only because you are interested in them. It is exactly as Christ said, resist not evil. By resisting evil, you merely strengthen it. Yes, I see now. All I have to do is to deny existence to evil. Then it fades away. But doesn't it boil down to some kind of autosuggestion? The autosuggestion is in full swing now, when you think yourself to be a person, caught between good and evil. What I am asking you to do is to put an end to it, to wake up and see things as they are. About your stay in Switzerland with that strange friend of yours, what did you gain in his company? Nothing, absolutely. His experience did not affect me at all. One thing I have understood, there is nothing to search for. Wherever I may go, nothing waits for me at the end of the journey. Discovery is not the result of transportation. Yes, you are quite apart from anything that can be gained or lost. Do you call it vairagya? Relinquishment, renunciation? There's nothing to renounce. Enough if you stop acquiring. To give you must have, and to have you must take. Better don't take. It is simpler than to practice renunciation, which leads to a dangerous form of spiritual pride. All this weighing, selecting, choosing, exchanging, it is all shopping in some spiritual market. What is your business there? What deal are you out to strike? When you are not out for business, what is the use of this endless anxiety of choice? Restlessness takes you nowhere. Something prevents you from seeing that there is nothing you need. Find it out and see its falseness. It is like having swallowed some poison and suffering from unquenchable craving for water. Instead of drinking beyond all measure, why not eliminate the poison and be free of this burning thirst? I shall have to eliminate the ego. The sense I am a person in time and space is the poison. In a way, time itself is the poison. In time, all things come to an end and new are born, to be devoured in their turn. Do not identify yourself with time. Do not ask anxiously, what next, what next? Step out of time and see it devour the world. Say, well, it is in the nature of time to put an end to everything. Let it be. It does not concern me. I am not combustible, nor do I need to collect fuel. Can the witness be without the things to witness? There is always something to witness. If not a thing, then its absence. Witnessing is natural and no problem. The problem is excessive interest leading to self-identification. Whatever you are engrossed in, you take to be real. Is the I am real or unreal? Is the I am the witness? Is the witness real or unreal? What is pure, unalloyed, unattached is real. What is tainted, mixed up, dependent, and transient is unreal. Do not be misled by words. One word may convey several and even contradictory meanings. The I am that pursues the pleasant and shuns the unpleasant is false. The I am that sees pleasure and pain is inseparable, sees rightly. The witness that is enmeshed in what he perceives is the person. The witness who stands aloof, unmoved and untouched, is the watchtower of the real, the point at which awareness, inherent in the unmanifested, contacts the manifested. There can be no universe without the witness. There can be no witness without the universe. Time consumes the world. Who is the witness of time? He who is beyond time, the unnameable. The glowing ember, moved round and round quickly enough, appears as a glowing circle. When the movement ceases, the ember remains. Similarly, the I am in movement creates the world. The I am at peace becomes the absolute. You are like a man with an electric torch walking through a gallery. You can see only what is within the beam. The rest is in darkness. If I project the world, I should be able to change it. Of course you can, but you must cease identifying yourself with it and go beyond. Then you have the power to destroy and recreate. All I want is to be free. You must know two things. What are you to be free from, and what keeps you bound? Why do you want to annihilate the universe? I am not concerned with the universe. Let it be or not be. It is enough if I know myself. If you are beyond the world, then you are of no use to the world. Pity the self that is, not the world that is not. Engrossed in a dream, you have forgotten your true self. Without the world, there is no place for love. Quite so, all these attributes, being, consciousness, love, and beauty, are reflections of the real in the world. No real, no reflection. The world is full of desirable things and people. How can I imagine it non-existent? Leave the desirable to those who desire. Change the current of your desire from taking to giving. The passion for giving, for sharing, will naturally wash the idea of an external world out of your mind and of giving as well. Only the pure radiance of love will remain beyond giving and receiving. In love there must be duality, the lover and the beloved. In love there is not the one even. How can there be two? Love is the refusal to separate, to make distinctions. Before you can think of unity, you must first create duality. When you truly love, you do not say, I love you. Where there is mentation, there is duality. What is it that brings me again and again to India? It cannot be only the comparative cheapness of life here, nor the colorfulness and variety of impressions. There must be some more important factor. There is also the spiritual aspect. The division between the outer and the inner is less in India. It is easier here to express the inner and the outer. Integration is easier. Society is not so oppressive. Yes, in the West it is all tamas and rajas. In India there is more of sattva, of harmony and balance. Can't you go beyond the gunas? Why choose the sattva? Be what you are wherever you are and worry not about gunas. I have not the strength. It merely shows that you have gained little in India. What you truly have you cannot lose. Were you well grounded in yourself, change of place would not affect it. In India, spiritual life is easy. It is not so easy in the West. One has to conform to environment to a much greater extent. Why don't you create your own environment? The world has only as much power over you as you give it. Rebel. Go beyond duality. Make no difference between East and West. What can one do when one finds oneself in a very unspiritual environment? Do nothing. Be yourself. Stay out. Look beyond. There may be clashes at home. Parents rarely understand. When you know your true being, you have no problems. You may please your parents or not, marry or not, make a lot of money or not. It is all the same to you. Just act according to circumstances. Get in close touch with the facts, with the reality in every situation. Is it not a very high state? Oh no, it is the normal state. You call it high because you are afraid of it. First, be free from fear. See that there is nothing to be afraid of. Fearlessness is the door to the Supreme. No amount of effort can make me fearless. Fearlessness comes by itself when you see that there is nothing to be afraid of. When you walk in a crowded street, you just bypass people. Some you see, some you just glance at, but you do not stop. It is the stopping that creates the bottleneck. Keep moving, disregard names and shapes, don't be attached to them. Your attachment is your bondage. What should I do when a man slaps me on the face? You will react according to your character, inborn or acquired. Is it inevitable? Is the world condemned to remain as we are? A jeweler who wants to refashion an ornament first melts it down to shapeless gold. Similarly, one must return to one's original state before a new name and form can emerge. Death is essential for renewal. You are always stressing the need of going beyond, of aloofness, of solitude. You hardly ever use the words right and wrong. Why is it so? It is right to be oneself. It is wrong not to be. All else is conditional. You are eager to separate right from wrong because you need some basis for action. You are always after doing something or other. But personally motivated action based on some scale of values, aiming at some result, is worse than inaction, for its fruits are always bitter. Are awareness and love one and the same? Of course. Awareness is dynamic. Love is being. Awareness is love in action. By itself, the mind can actualize any number of possibilities, but unless they are prompted by love, they are valueless. Love precedes creation. Without it, there is only chaos. Where is the action in awareness? You are so incurably operational. Unless there is movement, restlessness, turmoil, you do not call it action. Chaos is movement for movement's sake. True action does not displace, it transforms. A change of place is mere transportation. A change of heart is action. Just remember, nothing perceivable is real. Activity is not action. Action is hidden, unknown, unknowable. You can only know the fruit. Is not God the all-doer? Why do you bring in an outer doer? The world creates itself out of itself. It is an endless process. The transitory begetting the transitory. It is your ego that makes you think that there must be a doer. You create a God to your own image, however dismal the image. Through the film of your mind, you project a world and also a God to give it cause and purpose. It is all imagination. Step out of it. How difficult is it to see the world as purely mental? The tangible reality of it seems so very convincing. This is the mystery of imagination, that it seems to be so real. You may be celibate or married, a monk or a family man. That is not the point. Are you a slave of your imagination, or are you not? Whatever decision you take, whatever work you do, it will be invariably based on imagination, on assumptions, parading as facts. Here I am sitting in front of you. What part of it is imagination? The whole of it, even space and time, are imagined. Does it mean that I don't exist? I, too, do not exist. All existence is imaginary. Is being, too, imaginary? Pure being, filling all and beyond all, is not existence which is limited. All limitation is imaginary. Only the unlimited is real. When you look at me, what do you see? I see you imagining yourself to be. There are many like me, yet each is different. The totality of all projections is what is called Mahamaya, the great illusion. But when you look at yourself, what do you see? It depends on how I look. When I look through the mind, I see numberless people. When I look beyond the mind, I see the witness. Beyond the witness, there is the infinite intensity of emptiness and silence. How to deal with people? Why make plans and what for? Such questions show anxiety. Relationship is a living thing. Be at peace with your inner self, and you will be at peace with everybody. Realize that you are not the master of what happens. You cannot control the future except in purely technical matters. Human relationship cannot be planned. It is too rich and varied. Just be understanding and compassionate, free of all self-seeking. Surely I am not the master of what happens, its slave rather. Be neither master nor slave. Stand aloof. Does it imply avoidance of action? You cannot avoid action. It happens like everything else. My actions surely I can control. Try. You will soon see that you do what you must. I can act according to my will. You know your will only after you have acted. I remember my desires, the choices made, the decisions taken, and act accordingly. Then your memory decides, not you. Where do I come in? You make it possible by giving it attention. Is there no such thing as free will? Am I not free to desire? Oh no, you are compelled to desire. In Hinduism, the very idea of free will is non-existent, so there is no word for it. Will is commitment, fixation, bondage. Am I free to choose my limitations? You must be free first. To be free in the world, you must be free of the world. Otherwise, your past decides for you and your future. Between what had happened and what must happen, you are caught. Call it destiny or karma, but never freedom. First return to your true being, and then act from the heart of love. Within the manifested, what is the stamp of the unmanifested? There is none. The moment you begin to look for the stamp of the unmanifested, the manifested dissolves. If you try to understand the unmanifested with the mind, you would once go beyond the mind, like when you stir the fire with a wooden stick. You burn the stick. Use the mind to investigate the manifested. Be like the chick that pecks at the shell. Speculating about life outside the shell would have been of little use to it, but pecking at the shell breaks the shell from within and liberates the chick. Similarly, break the mind from within by investigation and exposure of its contradictions and absurdities. The longing to break the shell, where does it come from? From the unmanifested. Death of the mind is birth of wisdom. Before one can realize one's true nature, need not one be a person? Does not the ego have its value? The person is of little use. It is deeply involved in its own affairs and is completely ignorant of its true being. Unless the witnessing consciousness begins to play on the person, and it becomes the object of observation rather than the subject, realization is not feasible. It is the witness that makes realization desirable and attainable. There comes a point in a person's life when it becomes the witness. Oh no, the person by itself will not become the witness. It is like expecting a cold candle to start burning in the course of time. The person can stay in the darkness of ignorance forever, unless the flame of awareness touches it. Who lights the candle? The Guru. His words, his presence. In India, it is very often the mantra. Once the candle is lighted, the flame will consume the candle. Why is the mantra so effective? Constant repetition of the mantra is something the person does not do for one's own sake. The beneficiary is not the person, just like the candle which does not increase by burning. Can the person become aware of itself by itself? Yes, it happens sometimes as a result of much suffering. The Guru wants to save you the endless pain. Such is his grace. Even when there is no discoverable outer Guru, there is always the Sadguru, the inner Guru, who directs and helps from within. The words outer and inner are relative to the body only. In reality, all is one, the outer being merely a projection of the inner. Awareness comes as if from a higher dimension. Before the spark is lit and after, what is the difference? Before the spark is lit, there is no witness to perceive the difference. The person may be conscious but is not aware of being conscious. It is completely identified with what it thinks and feels and experiences. The darkness that is in it is of its own creation. When the darkness is questioned, it dissolves. The desire to question is planted by the Guru. In other words, the difference between the person and the witness is as between not knowing and knowing oneself. The world seen in consciousness is to be of the nature of consciousness. When there is harmony, sattva. But when activity and passivity, rajas and tamas, appear, they obscure and distort, and you see the false as real. What can the person do to prepare itself for the coming of the Guru? The very desire to be ready means that the Guru has come and the flame is lighted. It may be a stray word or a page in a book. The Guru's grace works mysteriously. Is there no such thing as self-preparation? We hear so much about yoga, sadhana. It is not the person that is doing sadhana. The person is in unrest and resistance to the very end. It is the witness that works on the person, on the totality of its illusions, past, present, and future. How can we know that what you say is true? While it is self-contained and free from inner contradictions, how can we know that it is not a product of fertile imagination, nurtured and enriched by constant repetition? The proof of the truth lies in its effect on the listener. Words can have a most powerful effect. By hearing or repeating words, one can experience various kinds of trances. The listener's experiences may be induced and cannot be considered as proof. The effect need not necessarily be an experience. It can be a change in character, in motivation, in relationship to people and oneself. Trances and visions induced by words or drugs or any other sensory or mental means are temporary and inconclusive. The truth of what is said here is immovable and everlasting, and the proof of it is in the listener, and the deep and permanent changes in his entire being. It is not something he can doubt unless he doubts his own existence, which is unthinkable. When my experience becomes your own experience also, what better proof do you want? The experiencer is the proof of his experience. Quite. The experiencer needs no proof. I am and I know I am. You cannot ask for further proofs. Can there be true knowledge of things? Relatively, yes. Absolutely, there are no things. To know that nothing is true knowledge. What is the link between the relative and the absolute? They are identical. From which point of view are they identical? When the words are spoken, there is silence. When the relative is over, the absolute remains. The silence before the words were spoken, is it different from the silence that comes after? The silence is one, and without it the words could not have been heard. It is always there, at the back of the words. Shift your attention from words to silence, and you will hear it. The mind craves for experience, the memory of which it takes for knowledge. The jnani is beyond all experience, and his memory is empty of the past. He is entirely unrelated to anything in particular, but the mind craves for formulations and definitions, always eager to squeeze reality into a verbal shape. Of everything it wants an idea, for without ideas the mind is not. Reality is essentially alone, but the mind will not leave it alone, and deals instead with the unreal. And yet it is all the mind can do, discover the unreal as unreal. And seeing the real as real? There is no such state as seeing the real. Who is to see what? You can only be the real, which you are anyhow. The problem is only mental. Abandon false ideas, that is all. There is no need of true ideas. There aren't any. Why then are we encouraged to seek the real? The mind must have a purpose. To engage it to free itself from the unreal, it is promised something in return. In reality, there is no need of purpose. Being free from the false is good in itself. It wants no reward. It is just like being clean, which is its own reward. Is not self-knowledge the reward? The reward of self-knowledge is freedom from the personal self. You cannot know the knower, for you are the knower. The fact of knowing proves the knower. You need no other proof. The knower of the known is not knowable. Just like the light is known in colors only, so is the knower known in knowledge. Is the knower an inference only? You know your body, mind, and feelings. Are you an inference only? I am an inference to others, but not to myself. So am I, an inference to you, but not to myself. I know myself by being myself, as you know yourself to be a man by being one. You do not keep on reminding yourself that you are a man. It is only when your humanity is questioned that you assert it. Similarly, I know that I am all. I do not need to keep on repeating, I am all, I am all. Only when you take me to be a particular person, I protest. As you are a man all the time, so am I what I am all the time. Whatever you are changelessly, that you are beyond all doubt. When I ask, how do you know that you are a jnani? Your answer, I find no desire in me, is this not proof? Were I full of desire, I would have still been what I am. Myself full of desires, and you full of desires, what difference would there be? You identify yourself with your desires and become their slave. To me, desires are things among things, mere clouds in the mental sky, and I do not feel compelled to act on them. The knower and his knowledge, are they one or two? They are both. The knower is the unmanifested, the known is the manifested. The known is always on the move. It changes. It has no shape of its own, no dwelling place. The knower is the immutable support of all knowledge. Each needs the other, but reality lies beyond. The jnani cannot be known because there is nobody to be known. When there is a person, you can tell something about it. But when there is no self-identification with the particular, what can be said? You may tell a jnani anything. His question will always be, about whom are you talking? There is no such person. Just as you cannot say anything about the universe because it includes everything, so nothing can be said about a jnani, for he is all and yet nothing in particular. You need a hook to hang your picture on. When there is no hook, on what will the picture hang? To locate a thing, you need space. To place an event, you need time. But the timeless and spaceless defies all handling. It makes everything perceivable, yet itself, it is beyond perception. The mind cannot know what is beyond the mind, but the mind is known by what is beyond it. The jnani knows neither birth nor death. Existence and non-existence are the same to him. When your body dies, you remain. Nothing dies, the body is just imagined. There is no such thing. Before another century will pass, you will be dead till all around you. Your body will be covered with flowers, then burnt and the ashes scattered. That will be our experience. What will be yours? Time will come to an end. This is called the great death, Mahamritu, the death of time. Does it mean that the universe and its contents will come to an end? The universe is your personal experience. How can it be affected? You might have been delivering a lecture for 2 hours. Where has it gone when it is over? It has merged into silence in which the beginning, middle, and end of the lecture are all together. Time has come to a stop. It was but is no more. The silence after a life of talking and the silence after a life of silence is the same silence. Immortality is freedom from the feeling I am. Yet it is not extinction. On the contrary, it is a state infinitely more real, aware and happy than you can possibly think of. Only self-consciousness is no more. Why does the great death of the mind coincide with the small death of the body? It does not. You may die 100 deaths without a break in the mental turmoil, or you may keep your body and die only in the mind. The death of the mind is the birth of wisdom. The person goes and only the witness remains. Who remains to say, I am the witness? When there is no I am, where is the witness? In the timeless state, there is no self to take refuge in. The man who carries a parcel is anxious not to lose it. He is parcel consciousness. The man who cherishes the feeling I am is self-consciousness. The jnani holds on to nothing and cannot be said to be conscious. And yet he is not unconscious. He is the very heart of awareness. We call him Digambara, clothed in space, the naked one, beyond all appearance. There is no name and shape under which he may be said to exist, yet he is the only one that truly is. I cannot grasp it. Who can? The mind has its limits. It is enough to bring you to the very frontiers of knowledge and make you face the immensity of the unknown. To dive in, it is up to you. What about the witness? Is it real or unreal? It is both. The last remnant of illusion, the first touch of the real. To say I am only the witness is both false and true. False because of the I am, true because of the witness. It is better to say there is witnessing. The moment you say I am, the entire universe comes into being along with its creator. Another question. Can we visualize the person and the self as 2 brothers, small and big? The little brother is mischievous, selfish, rude, restless, while the big brother is intelligent and kind, reasonable and considerate, free from body consciousness with its desires and fears. The big brother knows the little one, but the small one is ignorant of the big one and thinks itself to be entirely on its own. The guru comes and tells the smaller one, you are not alone. You come from a very good family. Your brother is a very remarkable man, wise and kind, and he loves you very much. Remember him, think of him, find him, serve him, and you will become one with him. Now the question is, are there 2 in us, the personal and the individual, the false self and the true self, or is it only a simile? It is both. They appear to be 2, but on investigation they are found to be 1. Duality lasts only as long as it is not questioned. The Trinity, mind, self, and spirit, Vyakti, Vyakta, and avyakta, when looked into, becomes unity. These are only modes of experiencing, of attachment, of detachment, of transcendence. Your assumption that we are in a dream state makes your position unassailable. Whatever objection we raise, you just deny its validity. One cannot discuss with you. The desire to discuss is also mere desire. The desire to know, to have the power, even the desire to exist, are desires only. Everybody desires to be, to survive, to continue, for no one is sure of himself, but everybody is immortal. You make yourself mortal by taking yourself to be the body. Since you have found your freedom, will you not give me a little of it? Why little? Take the whole. Take it. It is there for the taking. But you are afraid of freedom. Swami Ramdas had to deal with a similar request. Some devotees collected round him one day and began to ask for liberation. Ramdas listened smilingly, and then suddenly he became serious and said, "You can have it, here and now, freedom, absolute and permanent. Who wants it? Come forward." Nobody moved. Thrice he repeated the offer. None accepted. Then he said, "The offer is withdrawn." Attachment destroys courage. The giver is always ready to give. The taker is absent. Freedom means letting go. People just do not care to let go everything. They do not know that the finite is the price of the infinite, as death is the price of immortality. Spiritual maturity lies in the readiness to let go everything. The giving up is the first step. But the real giving up is in realizing that there is nothing to give up, for nothing is your own. It is like deep sleep. You do not give up your bed when you fall asleep. You just forget it